Hello, everybody. So first of all, Pastor, if the Almighty does give you heads up, can you give us a heads up as well? Thank you all for coming here. Thank you for sending Corey Tomczyk and Tom Tiffany to Madison and Washington to represent you in those odd places, quite honestly. They are great representatives, and I have to say, Corey, I appreciate you bringing up the issue with Josh Kaul and Mary Denny. It is an outrage. I tweeted when I heard what they did that this is the action of jackbooted thugs. But it's not just with Mary Denny. It's also with a wonderful man, Judge Trupus, who the Attorney General's office in a civil litigation ruled that what Judge Trupus did in terms of the alternate slate of electors was perfectly reasonable, perfectly legal, just preserving his client's right so that the case wouldn't be considered moot. And then a couple of years later, that same Attorney General office is trying to put Judge Trupus in jail and impoverishing him, where the process is the punishment. So, Corey, I hope your colleagues in the Assembly impeach Josh Kaul. Now, I remember after the 2020 election, we were having our leadership elections in the United States Senate, the Republican Conference. And by the way, we have an opportunity to elect a new majority leader, hopefully a majority leader. But I had the opportunity to nominate Rick Scott for then the chair of the NRSC. And before I was singing his praises, I just asked my colleagues, because let's face it, most of my colleagues in the Senate aren't in swing states. A lot of them never have an opportunity like I have to attend these Trump rallies. Which, by the way, are wonderful events, and I'm going to tell you exactly why they're such wonderful events. But I asked my colleagues, what is the one attribute that all those literally hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people who have attended Trump rallies in the 2020 election, now in the 2024 election, what is the one attribute that they all have in common? And nobody volunteered anything, so I answered the question for them. They love this country. They fervently love this country, and they love the man who represents them, who they also know fervently loves this country, Donald J. Trump. I think it is outrageous that Vice President Harris, her candidate, her VP candidate, Governor Walz, and unfortunately the legacy and corporate media are carrying their water on this, that they're talking about the rally held at Madison Square Garden and comparing to some kind of rally for Hitler. That is outrageous. I remember President Obama, 5 days before he was elected in 2008, said, in 5 days, we're going to fundamentally transform America. Now, I often ask, do you even like, much less love something that you want to fundamentally transform? So it's like I wake up in the morning, Jane, I love you, and I'm going to change everything about you. I mean, that's absurd. So I'm sorry. I think most Democrats, most people that vote for people like Obama and Biden and Harris love this country. I truly believe that. I don't believe their leaders do. Because they have fundamentally transformed America. They have fundamentally destroyed it. That's why you're here. That's why President Trump is risking his life, putting up with the vilification, the lawfare. President Trump didn't have to do that. I mean, President Trump, he's got a great life. He didn't have to put it on hold. He didn't have to do this, but he's doing it because he loves this country, and he realizes it is in peril after almost 4 years of Democrat governance. That's why he's doing it. That's why you're here. That's why you've already voted early. And by the way, how many people have voted early? Okay, that's great. It's not enough. So I appreciate you've done that. Now for the next 8 days, as Brian Schimming said, you have to talk to every person you know that will get out and vote to save this country who will vote for Donald J. Trump and J.D. Vance, okay? That's what you have to do. I mentioned the Madison Square Garden rally. I was traveling, so I couldn't see the whole thing, but I've watched some clips. I thought one of the better lines, and there are a lot of good lines, but Tucker Carlson said that he doesn't believe that Vice President Harris has ever been accused of doing something useful. Well, she certainly can be accused of not securing our border, right? Again, I talk about the fundamental destruction of this country. I mean, I can go through the list of horribles. You know, an open border. By the way, that didn't just happen. President Biden, Kamala Harris, Democrats in Congress, they want an open border. They want an open border. They caused this crisis, this clear and present danger. Do you realize under their watch, they have released in this country, best count, and they're not transparent, so it's hard to get a hard number on this, 7.8 million people have fled this country. Just put that in perspective, 38 states. You know, we only have 50. President Obama got that wrong one time, but we got 50. 38 states have a population less than 7.8 million people. That's the magnitude of the problem. The massive deficit spending that sparked 40-year high inflation, a dollar you held at the start of the Biden administration is now only worth 83 cents. That's why you can't afford things. That damage has been done, and now Kamala Harris has got a plan. She has no plan other than to continue to open the border and continue to deficit spend, which will just make the matters worse. Their war on fossil fuel, which has contributed to the devaluation of the dollar, to the inflation. You know, all these things they have done to America has weakened America, and our global adversaries have noticed. You know, the embarrassing and dangerous surrender in Afghanistan, it emboldened Putin. That's why he thought he had a green light to go in Ukraine. It has emboldened the Ayatollahs in Iran. That's why they gave the okay to Hamas and Hezbollah to attack Israel. When America is weak, the world is a more dangerous place. You know, Ronald Reagan was right. You achieve peace through strength. But it starts with economic strength. It starts with a unified nation. That's what I really want to talk about. You know, I think is being missed is what Donald Trump has done to completely change our politics. You know, remember, Democrats used to be, supposedly, don't think they ever were, not properly, not effectively, supposedly the party of the little men and women, right? The working men of America. Not anymore. Now they are the party of the elite. And the Republican Party, we are the party of the working men and women of this country. The men and women that made America great and will make America great again. So that's a sea change in politics. The Democrat Party today is not the Democrat Party of our parents and grandparents. They actually cared about the American people. They are the party of the radical left that are literally destroying this country. But again, this coalition that President Trump has put together, people like Robert Kennedy Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, Elon Musk, and the man that you're going to listen to in not too long of time period here, J.D. Vance. Again, you know what all these people have in common? They also love this country like you. They're also pretty darn smart, right? I got to know Bobby Kennedy during COVID. He's first of all, a very good person, very smart. You listen to Tulsi Gabbard, how smart and articulate she is. You know, one of the first people, because she served our nation, along with J.D. Vance, part of the finest among us in the military. These are people who know war, so they don't want us into war. That's a smart position. I don't want to see people beating the drums of war. I want a president. I want a vice president. I want them a president, vice president surrounded by people that want to avoid war. And that, by the way, is Donald Trump's record in office. The world was largely at peace. Okay? I've got some time. Sorry, campaign here, but I'm going to tell a story about Donald Trump. I went down, I met with him in Mar-a-Lago a couple springs ago. And I told him, I said, you know, where you really won me over was when I heard what you did in reaction to Iran downing one of our drones. Now, I remember at the time, you know, it's like, okay, Iran, this is an act of war. We need to retaliate. I mean, everybody was saying, I mean, the drum beats of war were beating loud. We were literally at the 12th hour. Our military was about to retaliate. And President Trump, being the leader he is, asked the relevant questions. He said, first of all, how much did that drone cost? I can't remember the exact number, but about a couple $1 million. Then he asked, how many people are going to die in the retaliation? I had heard like 150. When I actually asked him, he said, no, it was hundreds. And President Trump made the decision, the right decision, to say, you know, I don't think that couple $1 million drone is worth the loss of that life. Isn't that the attitude we want in a president? I've served now at J.D. Vance for a couple of years. I've seen the same type of humanity he's shown to his wife, his children, when he brings them to Senate lunch. I've seen how smart he is. I've seen how articulate he is. We've seen it in the debate. We've seen it in his joisting, his answer to, they're not interviews anymore, they're arguments with the mainstream media, right? I thought the classic one was Martha Raddatz, I think it's on ABC's This Week, where, you know, he was talking about the fact that, you know, these Venezuelan gangs have taken over the apartment buildings. And Martha Raddatz goes, well, Senator Vance, I mean, it's just a handful. And it was a perfect reaction. He goes, Martha, are you listening to yourself? Are you hearing what you're saying? A handful of apartments is okay? Guys, I mean, this is the insanity we're dealing with, the legacy and the corporate media. This is the insanity we're dealing with Democrat governance. They think that's okay. It's not okay. It's not okay. We know that. J.D. Vance knows that, and he's smart enough to point it out. And President Trump knows that. So you know what you have to do. You know what our mission is. We literally have to save this country. This is a make or break moment for America. I'm not sure we're going to get another chance. I agree with Elon Musk. We lose this election, I don't know whether we'll ever have a fair election. Democrats want to turn America into a one-party nation. That's why we're doing all this. We can't let them do that. So go out and talk to everybody you know and people you don't know. Everybody who loves this country, who understands it is our solemn duty to preserve this for future generations. Help them to the polls, drive them. Listen, I have no doubt, based on how Democrats are opposed to the SAVE Act, where we just ask somebody for proof of citizenship, how they're opposed to voter ID, how they just want to flood our voting system with absentee ballots and mail-in ballots that even the Baker-Carter Commission said was the greatest source of fraud in an election. It's obvious. Democrats want to make it easy to cheat. We don't. We're not looking for partisan advantage. We want to just restore confidence in our election system. We want to make sure that our legitimate votes aren't canceled out by illegitimate votes. So they want to make it easy to cheat. What does that tell you? They want to cheat. And my guess is they will cheat. We have plenty of evidence of it already. filled in Pennsylvania, they already uncovered a ring of non-citizens registered to vote. How does that happen? So again, I don't want anybody discouraged by that. I just want everybody following exactly what President Trump has asked you to do. Come out, make the results so massive, so large, that it's just too big to rig. President Trump, J.D. Vance, they have laid it on the line for this country, for us. They're right. They're coming for us. We can't let them down. And always remember, what this is really all about is what I always call that one essential ingredient of America. It's what our ancestors, what we have used to dream and aspire and build and create this marvel of a country to call America. It's called freedom. What this election is about, this is a fight for freedom. It's not someone else's fight, this is our fight, and it is a fight that we absolutely must win. So God bless all of you, God bless your efforts, God bless America. Thank you all.